There is a mystery in this world that I have never been able to understand. The mystery occurs in the fourth drawer of nearly everyone's kitchen. You know that drawer that's right at the bottom that no one ever seems to go near, and it has a menagerie of things. In that fourth drawer of every presbytery I have ever been to is a little box of keys that no one has any idea what they're used for. Why is it? I'm sure at your home there are bunches and groups and boxes and bags of keys that you have no idea what they're used for, but you can never throw them away. Why can't humanity chuck away keys that we don't use anymore? Max, Jean, you just moved into your new house. How are you going with your new keys?
Too many.
So, my friends, keys are important, aren't they? Why is it with keys? Keys are a symbol of power. That's why we say this is a key understanding. This is a key insight. You hold the key to my heart. And every parent who on their teenager's anniversary of turning 16 or 17 had that great fear of when they hand over the keys to the family car and say, for goodness sake, be safe. And the young person grabs the keys and goes, yes! Keys hold some sort of power. Today, our first reading and our gospel speak about keys. The first reading is fascinating. You see, there's this guy called Shebna, and he's the only person, except for one other in Jeremiah, that God has individually castigated. In the whole of the Bible, there's only two people that God specifically says, you're in trouble, you personally. Now, what's Shebna done? Shebna is a courtesan. He is the person that holds the key to be able to go into the palace to see the king. And people would have to go through Shebna. And they'd say, we'd like to see the king. And Shebna would go, okay, bit of backish, bit of payment, and I'll give it to you. And in those days, in the kingdom of Judah, the palace, Shebna, or the courtesan of the palace, was given a 2-foot-long key. They would wear it on their shoulder. Hence, we had that saying, the burden of office. He would wear the burden of office, but he got a little bit of money back. And what he'd done is he built himself a tomb over on the Mount of Olives across the valley from Jerusalem. And so that when he died and his bones would be placed there, people would walk past and say, there is Shebna's grave. How great is Shebna? Shebna is wonderful. Shebna, almost like God. And so what does God do? Let me read it to you again. The first reading, he sends his prophet, Isaiah. And the prophet Isaiah, thus says the Lord of hosts to Shebna, the master of the palace, I now dismiss you from your office. I remove you from your post. I no longer call you my servant. Eliakim, son of Hilkiah, I invest him with your robe. I gird him with your sash. Shebna is dismissed from his office, personally, by God. Believe me, you don't want to be in that position. Why? Because Shebna had abused his power. See, my friends, power is always with, never over someone. Anytime that we use our power over someone is displeasing to God. It's always with. I would hope, as the parish priest here, that I use my power with you, my power to help you understand reconciliation, the power invested in me for the Eucharist, the preaching of the Word, in governance of this parish. In your marriage, do you have power over your husband and wife or with them? Do you try and bring out their life? In your work, do you have power over people, telling them what you want? Or is it with them, encouraging their gifts always? In our work, our university, even on the road, no matter where we go, power is key, but it's how you use it. Don't be a Shebna. Our gospel today talks about another set of keys. You see, last week, Jesus and his disciples were in Lebanon. They were in Tyre and Sidon, and they're walking back now towards the Sea of Galilee. And they've come to this place called Banyas. And Banyas is at the foot of Mount Hermon, and it's Caesarea Philippi. That's where the Roman town is. And in fact, at the base of Mount Hermon is a beautiful resort. It's what the Romans built as a 5-star resort. It's got a beautiful spring that comes up. Behind it is a cave, and the cave is known as the gates of hell. And all around it is this rock wall. And on the rock wall, over the years, they've carved out niches or little places, and they've put statues of their gods, the Greek and Roman gods, all through it. Jesus and his disciples have wandered now to this oasis. And he's standing there with his 12 disciples, and he says, "Fellas, have a look at that wall. These are all the Greek and Roman gods. Who do you think I am? I want to know. Do you think I'm like that? Is that the kind of God you think I am? Someone you just shove in a niche and don't worry about? Is that someone you just place over there and don't care about? Who do you think I am?" And Simon Jonah stands up and he says, "Lord, you're the Christ. You're the Messiah, the anointed one who is to come." And then Jesus says, "I no longer call you Simon. I'm going to call you Peter." In Greek, Petros, which means rock. I don't want you to be a rock like that wall. I don't want our church to be like this rock wall that people seem foreign. I want it to be able to be a church that is built upon authority with, not over people. And Peter, I want you to understand this now. Peter, I want you to know this. You have the ability to bind and loose, but don't be like Shebna, where you use that power against or over. You are to be the servant of the servants. This is what our church will be. Not like this group up here. Please, don't make it like that. Walk gently with people. Encourage them. Bring forth the life. Have you ever walked into a room and someone's there and they seem to suck the breath out of everything? And there's other people walk into the room and they seem to give life to everything. Be that person. Don't be the Shebna. And so what happens? He gives him the keys of the kingdom, which is a symbol of the Vatican today. The 2 crossed keys, gold and silver. And he says, "I give you these keys," metaphorically, to say, this is what I want you to be, a servant of servants to others. My friends, who is Christ for you? Who do you think Christ is? Someone we just put on a rock wall in a niche somewhere? Or is Christ the living God. That's key.